My heart raced as I reflected on the turbulent journey that had become my relationship with my girlfriend, who, after years of love and connection, left me reeling with betrayal. It all began with the simple, chilling words that echoed in my mind. "I'm sorry." Those two words felt inadequate to encapsulate the weight of the heartbreak I was experiencing. To provide a little context, let me take you back to the beginning. I am 26 years old, and my girlfriend, who's just 23, and I had navigated the complexities of young love together for over 4.5 years. Our relationship had its fair share of ups and downs, but we often emerged stronger than before. There was a pivotal moment, however, around the 2.5-year mark when she made the unexpected decision to end things between us. Those months apart, about 10 of them, were a whirlwind of confusion and emotional struggle. I spent my days trying to fill the void she left, grappling with the memory of better times while also attempting to build new experiences without her. As fate would have it, after a long stretch of minimal communication, she reached out. With a voice tremoring with emotion, she confessed that she had made a grave error in breaking up and desperately wanted to rekindle what we once had. Bewildered but hopeful, I chose to embrace this chance. It wasn't a decision made lightly. I reflected on our past, how generous and caring she had always been. There had never been any animosity during our previous split, and so I welcomed her back with open arms, thinking we could navigate our way back to bliss together. The next year proved to be an incredibly beautiful chapter in our lives. As our hearts danced together once again, we seemed enveloped in a cocoon of love that made everything appear perfect. Laughter filled the spaces between us, a rhythm creating a melody of happiness that played in my heart. We built dreams and plans, holding tight to this second chance, as we always sought adventures to share together. However, as the summer sun illuminated our days, I began to sense a shift in her demeanor. Though I was away for a significant part of the season, returning to see her every 2 to 3 weeks made me feel secure. Yet there was an underlying current of coldness that troubled me. I recognized the warning signs. She seemed distant, almost enveloped in a cloud of unspoken words. Each time I brought up my concerns, she would brush them off, always assuring me that the challenges she was facing were rooted in family issues that needed her attention. As I listened, believing in her strength and maturity, I chose to trust her. We even made elaborate plans for my visits. One memorable week was spent at her family home, where I first thought of the warmth that was once so intrinsic to our relationship. The laughter and teasing we shared sparked joy in my heart and filled my mind with dreams of a bright future. Felt so right, so hopeful. Finally, as the summer drew to a close, we embarked on a trip together that felt like the culmination of our rekindled love. The spark we reignited during our travels felt electric. I could almost envision a life filled with shared experiences, laughter, and deeper intimacy. But then came the fall, a season that turned chilling not only in climate but in heart as well. Just when I thought we had, at last, navigated back to solid ground, I experienced an unforeseen collapse of trust. I discovered through a glaring text message that shattered my world like glass. She had been unfaithful. The betrayal I felt is indescribable. It's as if I had been stabbed in the heart, the pain radiating throughout my entire being. I had believed in her honesty, her loyalty, and the sincerity of her feelings. The hurt flooded in, drowning me in confusion and disbelief. Her explanation, a hasty rush of apologies and tears, came across as hollow. Amidst the chaos of my emotions, all she could muster were those two words, "I'm sorry." Those words, so frequently uttered, suddenly fell flat, dismissed by the gravity of her actions. I found myself wrestling with the contrast of the love I thought we had and the betrayal of being cast aside in such a shattering manner. Every moment we shared together, each laugh, each tender kiss, clashed with the stark reality of her disloyalty. In that moment, I realized that apologies couldn't stitch together the fragments of what she had broken. The truth was too painful. Our connection, once a tapestry of shared hopes and dreams, now lay in tatters, the threads unraveling with every breath I took. I yearned for answers, for an explanation that could soothe the chaos in my heart, but even that clarity was denied to me, lost in the aftermath of her choices. All that remained was a sense of profound loss, and the struggle to comprehend how someone I loved so deeply could betray me in such a way. As I look back on this tumultuous journey filled with moments of joy, heart-wrenching betrayal, and ultimately the need to find closure and healing, I understand that love is a double-edged sword. It can elevate you to euphoric heights only to drop you in the depths of despair. It reminds me of the fragility of trust and how easily it can be dismantled, leaving you grappling with understanding and moving forward. Now, I must gather the pieces of my heart, determined to find solace beyond the ache of this betrayal, and rebuild who I am from the ashes of what once was. After that tumultuous period, she began to retreat emotionally once more, but as the holiday season approached, something within her shifted dramatically. As the festive lights began to twinkle across our town, she transformed into a more affectionate version of herself, wrapping her arms around me and showering me with words that oozed love and devotion. There was an almost desperate enthusiasm in her demeanor. She eagerly proposed grand adventures and exciting plans for us to explore together in the near future, suggesting we should rekindle the magic that initially sparked between us. However, as fate would have it, 3 weeks ago, a revelation sent shockwaves through my world. A mutual acquaintance, perhaps unaware of the fragility of our relationship, let slip that she had been involved with another man throughout the entire summer while I was away pursuing my own ventures. The realization hit me like a cold wave crashing against the shore, and I found myself grappling with disbelief. How could someone I thought was so innocent and gentle have betrayed me in such a profound way? My heart raced as I replayed moments from our time together in my mind, recalling the warmth of her laughter and the softness of her touch, now overshadowed by this bitter truth. When I confronted her about the situation, I felt as though I was standing at the edge of a precipice. I wanted to end the call, to hang up and distance myself from the pain of her deceit, but she pleaded with me not to. Her voice, a mixture of regret and genuine fear, echoed in my ears as she begged for forgiveness. "Please, let me explain," she urged, her tone filled with an earnest desperation that made it difficult for me to simply walk away. Despite the turmoil inside me, I absorbed her words, each one heavy with the weight of the situation. We eventually arranged to meet in person, an encounter that felt like stepping into an uncertain abyss. When I saw her, there was an unmistakable air of shame surrounding her, which engulfed her features, rendering her expression almost unreadable. Yet, surprisingly, she didn't shed a single tear. The moment felt surreal, as if we were trapped in a moment that belonged to a different realm. The only phrase that escaped her lips repeatedly was a simple, "I'm very sorry." The repetition felt hollow, echoing in the air with a stark emptiness that further fueled my frustration and disappointment. I searched her eyes for answers, desperate to understand why she would choose to betray my trust, especially after professing such deep love and planning our future travels together. "Why would you do this?" I probed, my voice tinged with disbelief and a pain that threatened to suffocate me. "How could you say you loved me while being with someone else?" The rawness of my emotions was palpable, filling the space between us with an intense energy. All she could do was glance down, her fingers fidgeting nervously, unable to meet my gaze. The weight of her shame seemed to thicken the air, casting a pall over our once joyous connection. As I stood in front of her, I sensed a whirlwind of feelings: anger, betrayal, sadness, and even a flicker of love that refused to extinguish completely. Despite the heartache, I yearned for clarity, for a logical explanation that could somehow untangle this mess. "Do you understand how this has affected me?" I pressed further. It was as if I was searching for a piece of her that I could still recognize, a fragment of the girl I once thought I knew, the one who held my hand with such tenderness and shared her dreams so freely. Her apology hung in the air, suspended between us, devoid of the comfort I so deeply needed. The silence stretched on, broken only by the distant sounds of the city, and I couldn't help but wonder if our relationship, once vibrant and full of promise, had now become a shadow of its former self. Could we ever return to the carefree laughter we once shared? Or were we now forever trapped in this swirling storm of mistrust and uncertainty? As the evening air turned cooler, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. The things we had planned together now felt like hollow dreams, tainted by the bitter sting of betrayal. Part of me wanted to reach out to comfort her, to step forward into some semblance of understanding, but the other part, a more protective, wounded part, wanted to run far away, to escape the pain that had suddenly engulfed me. Our eyes finally met again, and in that moment of vulnerability, I searched for a glimmer of hope, some kind of sign that she too was feeling the profound loss of what we once shared. I longed for a connection, despite everything that had transpired. Can we ever move past this? I asked quietly, my voice almost a whisper. It was a question laced with desperation, the lingering hope that perhaps, just perhaps, we could find a way to heal together, even amidst the ruins of our fractured relationship. Yet, as I looked deep into her eyes, I understood that rebuilding trust would be an arduous journey, fraught with challenges and emotional upheaval. Only time would tell if we could transform this pain into something beautiful, something worthwhile. But for now, that possibility felt as distant as the stars shimmering in the night sky above us, leaving me to ponder the intricate tapestry of love, betrayal, and forgiveness. That I spoke to her with a measured calmness, laying out my feelings with all the sincerity I could muster. Yet, when her only response was a string of "I'm sorries," it felt like a wall had been built between us, each utterance reinforcing my sense of isolation. I got to my feet, overwhelmed by a torrent of emotions, and turned away, leaving without a backward glance. That moment felt definitive, a point of no return. 3 weeks have slipped by since then. In that time, I've heard nothing from her. No text messages lighting up my phone. No handwritten letters tucked under my door. Not even a fleeting acknowledgement in the form of a social media comment. Instead, it seems she's thrown herself into a whirlwind of social activities, laughing with her friends, sharing joy with others, and seemingly untouched by the emotional fallout of our relationship. I can't quite wrap my head around it. How is it possible for her to transition so seamlessly into a new chapter of her life? It's as if she has completely severed our connection, seemingly unfazed by our history together. I can't help but grapple with the feeling of worthlessness that creeps in as I witness her moving forward without so much as an effort to reach out or even express any semblance of remorse that goes beyond mere words. Each day I see her smiling face in photos on social media, carefree and vibrant, and it's a stark reminder of the heavy burden I'm carrying. The emotional weight feels unbearable at times. I can't escape the gnawing ache in my chest as I contrast her apparent bliss with my own struggle to make sense of it all. I want to shake her, to make her see what she's lost. It frustrates me that I was always there for her, supporting her dreams and encouraging her to surround herself with friends. Yet I am left feeling incredibly unvalued, as though my devotion was simply overlooked or taken for granted. I remember the early days of our relationship, how we would laugh together, enjoy late-night conversations that stretched into the early morning, and the way we wove our lives together in a tapestry of shared experiences and dreams. But now those memories feel like remnants of a life that has been wrenched away from me, leaving behind only shadows of what once was. Although I know in my gut that getting back together with her is not the solution, and that, in fact, it's an option I don't wish to pursue, the longing for her acknowledgement is something that eats away at me. I want her to realize that with every day that passes, she is missing out on the chance to appreciate what we had, to understand that she let slip away a genuinely good partner who stood firmly by her side through thick and thin. What stings the most is the lack of closure, the absence of a moment where she might sit down, look me in the eyes, and truly comprehend the weight of her actions. I wish for her to understand that an apology, while it carries some measure of weight, cannot substitute for the sincerity of genuine remorse. There's a difference between saying, "I'm sorry," and showing that one is truly sorry through their actions. In moments of solitude, I reflect on our time together, the good and the bad, and I sometimes find myself envisioning what I would say to her if we crossed paths again. I wonder if I would have the courage to confront her, to ask bluntly if she realizes the depth of her choices, and how they have impacted both our lives. I would want to know if, in her heart of hearts, she feels any regret about how things ended. Would she even care to know, to understand the depth of the hurt she has inflicted? There is a simmering desire within me for recognition, not just for myself but for the love and commitment that I poured into our relationship. It would mean so much to me to have her acknowledge that what we shared was significant, that she once held something precious that has now slipped through her fingers. Yet, I also recognize that living in the past serves no purpose. To move on, I must focus on healing, on rediscovering the person I once was before our paths intertwined. It's a difficult journey, and some days are tougher than others, but I know I can't cling to the hope that she will suddenly awaken to the vitality of what we lost. Instead, I need to remind myself that I deserve a love that is mutual, one where my feelings are valued and reciprocated. In the depths of my heart, I am hopeful that one day, she will gain insight into her actions and understand not just what she has lost, but also how to value those who genuinely care. Until that day comes, I will continue to chart my own course, collecting pieces of myself and reclaiming the joy that feels lost but is, in essence, still within my reach. If my story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more. I'd love to hear your advice on the steps I should take. Keep in touch for future stories.